change in an instant. So can your plans. That's why at United, there are no change fees on flights, because while we love a change of plans in the Warriors' favor, we don't think anyone should get charged fees for changing theirs. No change fees, ever. United, the official airline of the Golden State Warriors. Does not include basic economy unless a United waiver applies. Exceptions apply for certain international flights.
Hot wings, hot and sour soup, and a hot fudge sundae. Your neighbor's DoorDash order for Golden State Warriors game days has gotten superstitiously specific. But hey, every order on DoorDash is a win for local businesses and Dashers. And if you're superstitious, it just might put the Warriors on a hot streak too.
Deep three on the way. Heat check!
Score one for the neighborhood on game day with DoorDash.
Heat check! Free!
Official partner of the Golden State Warriors.
What go best with the Warriors win? Free cookies! And not just one cookie or two cookies, but 3 free cookies!
When the Golden State Warriors win, get one free 3-pack of cookies.
Toongas love cookies, but Toongas love free cookies even mostest. Get that W, Warriors!
AM/PM, too much good stuff. Proud partner of the Golden State Warriors. Only 1,000 deals available on the AM/PM map for 24 hours on a first-come, first-served basis between October 18, 2022 and April 10, 2023. Only at participating AM/PM stores while supplies last.
You've been listening to the Golden State Warriors Audio Network.
Presented by United Airlines.
This has been a presentation of Odyssey Sports. For even more coverage of your team, download the free Odyssey app and listen to your favorite stations, shows, and podcasts.
That's a wrap.
Yo, that's a wrap. It was an amazing experience. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope they got some laughs, some good entertainment.
This is Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
Steve Kerr wants somebody to come up top. He's jumping up and down in midcourt. He says, Draymond, go screen for Curry. He does. Curry gets Herter, takes a three. Good! It's good! Timeout, Sacramento! Number 30.
One of 7 three-pointers on what was just an incredible night for Stephen Curry as the Warriors on the back of number 30 are able to come back and defeat the Sacramento Kings inside Chase Center, 116-113. The final, John Dickinson inside Chase Center, and wow, just to be able to witness one of the all-time greats playing at an all-time great level when, for the most part, the rest of his team just doesn't have it and is trying to find it. This is one of those games where, yeah, it's November 7th. Yeah, they're playing the Sacramento Kings, but Stephen Curry was electrifying. Just a Hall of Fame type performance from a future Hall of Famer and an all-time NBA legend to carry his team to victory and almost single-handedly at times tonight pull the Warriors up and out of the 5-game losing streak and hole that they had been stuck in since the last time that they had played in this building going back 11 nights ago. So 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. John Dickinson on Warriors Wrap-Up here on 95.7 The Game. That is the phone number to give me a call or shoot me a text. We'll be with you here for the next hour as, yeah, right off the top, the Warriors' 5-game losing streak is over, and for a good chunk of the night, it looked like not only was the losing streak going to be extended, but it was going to be extended in just agonizing fashion. Steve Kerr, before the ball game and really over the course of the last couple of days, talking about lineup changes and rotational changes, and the Warriors did, with the starting group, get off to a 27-17 start, but the bench, the new look bench came in and gave it all back and then some. Warriors went from 27-17 up, and it was actually even 27-15, so 12 points up in the first quarter with about 3:50 to go in that quarter, to down by 2 at the end of the first quarter, 31-29, and Sacramento over the remainder of the half just took the game over, and it went from the Warriors up 12 to the Kings up 12 at the half. It was 52-28 over a 15-plus minute stretch to close the first half, and the Warriors just discombobulated, just unable, just disconnected, overpassing at times, taking bad shots at times, just inopportune turnovers. The defensive effort, especially in the first half, just non-existent for the most part, and even times in the second half as the Warriors were trying to climb out of the hole, really Steph trying to lead the Warriors out of the hole. It would be one of those things, either a brutal defensive possession or a bad shot or a turnover to help Sacramento reestablish momentum. And I didn't at any point until the Warriors got up 3 at 116-113 in the final second plus believe that really the Warriors were going to win this game. It just did not have that feel. It felt like 6th consecutive loss on tap, bench problems continuing to be magnified even with a new bench, and the Warriors having to expend a ton of energy coming off a long road trip where, yes, a lot of the veteran players didn't play, and yes, the Warriors have the next 3 days off, but it just felt like it was all bad. But Steph saved them. The defensive intensity better in the second half. A little bit of Sacramento being Sacramento, I thought, down the stretch, and the Warriors were fortunate that Kevin Huerter was not shooting 3 free throws at the end of regulation to try and tie that game, as it looked like Klay Thompson came pretty close, if not actually making contact with Huerter as Huerter flailed and tried to hit a desperation heave there. What was going on there? What was going on with the Kings trying to avoid fouling Steph Curry and then trapping Steph Curry into a position where the clock almost ran out on him before ultimately Curry was fouled and went to the free throw line to put the Warriors up 3. But a lot to get into from this one at 888-957-9570 as Stephen Curry, just the one and only, saves the Warriors from what would have been, I think, a pretty ugly post-game show here tonight on 95.7 The Game, and frankly, rightfully so. And this now allows the Warriors a couple of days to try and catch their breath, and I know they felt like maybe they had already gone back to the drawing board with some of the changes that were made, but it looks as if they really need to continue to go back to the drawing board. Whatever the drawing board was over the weekend to set up the rotation from tonight, which saw no James Wiseman or JaMychal Green at all, DNP coaches' decisions. It saw a bench group that featured Anthony Lamb and Jonathan Kuminga. Kuminga, for all the talk about him getting back in there and being a major part of things, he only plays 9 minutes. He was a -17 in those 9 minutes. Jordan Poole, Anthony Lamb, Ty Jerome. It was all bad for the Warriors bench in this one. And really, this is one of those games, we talked about it on Warriors Live, where the starting group continues to be one of the best groups in the NBA. And you look, everybody a plus. I mean, led by Curry and Draymond, +20, +19. Wiggins, +16. Looney, for the time that he was out on the floor, a plus player. And Poole, much better when playing with the starters. Even Klay Thompson, a +10, although he shot it woefully at 6 of 18 in this game. But it just tells you that, and this has happened a few times, no matter how good the Warriors starters have been bad enough to essentially wipe out any of the positives and send the game into a tailspin. And that's what happened in this game. The Warriors looked like they were primed to come out and maybe put a thumping on the Kings, but it was just an avalanche created by that bench group that the starters couldn't even necessarily save, even in the closing minutes of the first half. So you wind up down by 12. You come out at the top of the third quarter, and Jordan Poole inserted into the starting lineup for the Warriors at the beginning of the third. Looked like it gave him a little bit of life. I think in part, Steve Kerr, and we'll hear from the head coach of the Warriors, you do that because you want to get Poole going. I thought they did it to try and go small and make Domantas Sabonis a lesser impact on the game, because he really got off, I think, 14 and 11 in the first half, and they were running a lot of pick and rolls, and Sabonis was kind of having his way. You play small, you play fast with Sabonis, you can get him into some foul trouble, you can run him off the court. He has a very difficult time guarding with pace and guarding teams that really want to play and spread the floor. So the Warriors spread it out. I thought the other reason you go to Jordan Poole in the starting lineup and is you make Kevon Looney one of your bench players, and that in turn helps your bench because Steve Kerr ripped up the rotation sheet from the first half and said, I got to do something different in the second half, and it was clear. And this saved the Warriors for all the talk at times about not wanting to chase wins. Steve Kerr gets a lot of credit tonight because he knew they needed a win, and he chased the win. And so you look at this, and the Warriors, the Poole move was chasing the win. Curry coming back with 10:06 to go in the fourth quarter when things looked like they had the potential to get completely out of hand, and Sacramento rebuilding their lead up to 9 after the Warriors had cut it down to 1. So Kerr goes to Curry, who just had a breathtaking fourth quarter, had 30 after 3. If that wasn't good enough, he chases that with 17 in the fourth quarter to finish with 47. Just an epic, epic night from Stephen Curry, but credit to Steve Kerr for going after it with a lot of the regulars getting the night off Friday, so a couple of days off leading into this, and then a couple of days off between now and the Warriors' next game, which is going to be in this building on Friday night against Cleveland. And so he went for it and put Poole in there, and that meant Looney was a bench player, and Ty Jerome got a few minutes, and Anthony Lamb got a few minutes in the second half, and that was basically it. 8-man rotation, but it was really more like a 7.5, 6-man rotation for the most part in the second half, and no Kuminga, no Moody, and the Warriors wind up able to come back on the back of number 30. 888-957-9570. Let's get to the phone lines here on Warriors Wrap-Up. We'll start with Johnson in the city. What's going on, Johnson? You're on with JD on 95.7 The Game.
Thank you, JD. I just want to say a great win by the Warriors. Stephen Curry was amazing. The reason why I called is I think I want to go all the way in with Steve Kerr's philosophy of we got to get more two-way contract veteran players in here and get rid of the high school players to the G League and stop insulting Stephen Curry and making them play with these high school players. We need to win now, and we need veteran players. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. Well, you can only have two-way players, and at this point, those spots are filled with Anthony Lamb and with Ty Jerome. And they wound up being a couple of the players that were effective, at least more effective than some of the other guys that were out there in that second half. But the bench issue is continuing to be an issue. And if you lose this game, I mean, heads might explode at that point. And look, Sacramento, I do think, has improved over what they've been the last couple of years. I don't think they're a playoff team, for sure not a playoff team. They may be a play-in team. They may not be a play-in team. I think they'll probably be battling for a play-in spot, 9, 10, somewhere in there. They're anywhere probably between 9th and 12th in the Western Conference this year, but they're improved from what they've been. I think they're going to be a more competitive opponent on most nights with Mike Brown and some of their young talent that they've developed and a couple of the veterans they've acquired. But, yeah, on a night where you say, looking at the bench, that you're going to give Kuminga run and it's celebrated as if that's going to be some kind of a cure-all, and he plays his way off the floor. Again, I mean, how many times is Jonathan Kuminga going to get opportunities and then play his way off the floor? This is the second time now this season, and I know Steve Kerr did say post-game that he's going to be back in the rotation next game, and I do think he has to give him at least a couple of games worth of run, but this isn't necessarily a conversation about the young players getting opportunities. It's about young players having to be able to be effective when they are given opportunities. And right now, it's not happening at a level to where it's making the Warriors a bad team overall. Even when Stephen Curry scored 47 points, I mean, against Sacramento, you're barely winning the game. And you're needing these Herculean efforts from the other veteran players playing 40 minutes Wiggins, 38 minutes Curry, 36 minutes Draymond. Klay Thompson tonight, 38 minutes. And so you need all these major efforts to win these games, because it's not just that the young guys are struggling or the young guys are needing more time. It's just they are completely and wholly ineffective at a level by which they are flipping games and flipping games fast, and it doesn't matter the opponent. Wiseman's in and these last few games before tonight, and teams are attacking him and taking advantage of him. He doesn't play tonight. Other guys get their opportunity, Kuminga predominantly, and it's just as problematic. So the Warriors are going to have to figure it out. I think they were going to try some new combinations tonight, and it didn't work to the point where Steve Kerr had to go to the drawing board and decide to just try and do everything possible to stop the bleeding. I think that's what Steve Kerr did tonight. He did everything possible, and it still doesn't happen without Curry having a legendary performance for the ages. But I think at this point, you take it, you get back on the practice court, and you try to figure out some semblance of how these young players can help you at a more effective rate than they have at this point. Because the one thing we've seen is if you're playing these players the limited time that you're playing them, and they're still impacting the game in a negative manner to the point where you're losing games, and you're losing games against teams that are at the bottom of the conference and at the bottom of the league, then that means you can't just decide to play them more and allow them to develop and take their lumps, because that means you're going to lose even more in the short term. And I think tonight is a statement by Steve Kerr that he's not willing to go farther than he has to this point as far as sacrificing winning to develop young players. You can't do that when you've got your starters and your veterans among the best groups in the NBA, and you're still having a hard time winning games even against some of the teams that are in true rebuilds across the league. So 888-957-9570. Pastor Langford is next in Oakland. What's going on, Pastor?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks. I agree with you. But I think what's missing is that we had some key role players on last year's championship team. Gary Payton Jr., the great defensive play. He was a great, rebounder, defender, made key shots, Porter, and I forget the other player. Those three players played significant roles, which allowed the younger players, Moody, Kuminga, and even Poole, to be confident and play. So now the newer veterans, they're not delivering either. So I think the younger players, and I'm really impressed with Moody. I think Moody has demonstrated the level of play, should be able to play more. And I think you got a 7-footer. You got to put him in there and let him learn. You can't keep benching a guy. He's been sitting for 3 years. You got to get in, and you got to give him time to learn. We all know also that Coach Kerr likes experimenting with this group, that group, this guy, that guy. So
yeah, it's
been successful. Hopefully, I think it'll pay off. But I think the younger guys are younger. We're just going to have to give it time. They've been there. They were utilized. I mean, I remember Moody in the series against Dallas. He was outstanding, and I've been seeing consistency there with him. But I think some of the new veterans we brought on, they got to step it up. These new guys help to win a championship, and younger players need time to develop.
No doubt. And thanks for the call, Pastor. Appreciate it. 888-957-9570. Otto Porter Jr. is not coming back. JaMychal Green has not been anything like what Otto Porter Jr. was last year, and I think it would probably be unfair to expect that, to be perfectly honest. Gary Payton II, Dante DiVincenzo was brought in, I think, in part, different type of player, but to offset some of that, a more veteran-type presence, even a younger veteran-type player, and he's been injured since the last time that these two teams played a couple of weeks ago, so you're not getting any stability from him. And now JaMychal Green has been made, at least for the time being, unplayable. And so, yeah, you're not getting anything from those roles. And you also don't have a guy like Damian Lee. I know Warrior fans are probably out there screaming as I mentioned it, but Damian Lee's somebody that's playing here and there a little bit for Phoenix. And he's somebody that would have been playing with tonight when the Warriors were struggling and the young guys were struggling. I get it. You have to have a balance between giving the young players enough time to develop and make mistakes and have the freedom to make mistakes and learn and grow and become better players. But it creates a disconnect between the two facets of this franchise right now, which is these veterans that are legends and champions and future Hall of Famers, and still, by the way, are quite effective when you look at their numbers tonight. Xfinity Mobile text line with the nod that, yes, all Warriors starters in the positive by a significant margin, all Warriors bench players a negative in this one, with the closest to an even being Moses Moody at a -1. So you look at the Warriors, and there is a disconnect, and I think you're seeing it on the court. The veteran players aren't trusting of the young players. They know they're not good enough to play at the same level that the veteran players are at, and I think that adds a little bit of pressure to the young players. The one that I can't figure out is Jordan Poole. That's the one that I can't figure out. Just 2 points tonight, 1 of 4, 0 of 2, and Jordan Poole, while he did, just by being a more playable player than some of the others, give the Warriors a chance to come back in the second half and ultimately win this game, they got to do something to get him going, because I think he's struggled mightily because of the talent that he's had to be on the floor. I think part of the calculus to the way the Warriors built this team was to have Jordan Poole be able to bring the young players along and play more of them together in a bench group, and have Jordan Poole lead that group and score and be efficient, and he just has not been anywhere near as effective on the floor with the other bench players as he is when he's on the floor with the starting group, and frankly hasn't been effective, period. So how do you shake Jordan Poole out of it in what is a different role, I think, even than the role that he had for a good chunk of the regular season last year? We forget he was a starter a lot last year, playing with Steph Curry. So I think that's another dynamic. So the veteran guys that aren't walking through that door, part of this thing, it's different. Maybe not as good right now. You're not getting as much from Poole right now. Klay Thompson, he's trying to grind through it, but he isn't the same player, clearly, that he wants to be at this point. And it's a ton of Steph Curry. It's a lot of Draymond Green, who continues to play very well. Him and Steph just leading the way tonight. And they're, Andrew Wiggins is a prime player right now that's athletic and really somebody that stands out on the floor more and more when you look at the level that he's somebody that can ride with Steph and with Draymond right now and do things on the court. 25 and 10 tonight for Andrew Wiggins. Some bad turnovers, but he's trying to help pull this team up right now because they need it, and they were in desperation mode, it felt like, in the second half. They get the win. They're able to get to 4-7 and now get a couple of days off, and let's see if they can start stringing together some better basketball, some more cohesion between the young players and the veteran players, because tonight is nice, but tonight is still there's a lot. While you'll take the win, there's a lot of just red flags that you look moving forward here, and if things don't change and get better, there's going to be a lot of other nights where the Warriors can't get a win. Cleveland's coming in here on Friday. You're not going to beat Cleveland with the game that you had tonight against Sacramento. So 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. More phone calls coming up here. We'll pause. We'll hear from Steve Kerr. Ricky, we'll get to you coming up first. A lot of text messages to get to. It's Warriors wrap-up on 95.7 The Game.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, and increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's and AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world, turning to the best in the business for websites. Go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
Bay Area, join us at our newest location, Afici, part of the Alexander Steakhouse Group. Afici features contemporary American cuisine in a fine dining setting. The multiple course menu showcases Italian and French style cuisine while highlighting locally sourced seasonal ingredients alongside some of the best products from around the globe. Whether you choose Afici for a special occasion, holiday events, or a culinary adventure, Afici provides unparalleled service. Head over to 680 Folsom Street, San Francisco for a fine dining experience. Reserve your seats now on AficiSF.com.
New Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave on there, and around there, and even under there. Don't treat your groin like junk. Respect it with Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get. Buy now at Walmart.
Why wait to save? Dell Technologies Black Friday event arrives early with select deals on top tech to power business productivity. The savings start now with up to 48% off performance business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, including free shipping on everything. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL for Black Friday deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Do you have neuropathy? Are you experiencing numbness, tingling, and pain that just won't stop? Are you taking dangerous drugs that have serious side effects and never fix the pain? If so, please listen to this message. Neuropathy is a serious, progressive condition that only gets worse if not treated properly. Call SF Bay Wellness at 844-94-NERVE to get back to doing the things you want to do. There is no drug, exercise, or surgery that can heal nerves. Don't wait until your condition gets worse and stops you from living your life fully. SF Bay Wellness has a time-tested, proven track record of helping hundreds of patients to improve and reverse their neuropathy. If you're ready to regain your independence, contact SF Bay Wellness at 844-94-NERVE. Call now for your $99 neuropathy special and receive a personal treatment plan that is tailored to your needs. Call 844-94-NERVE. That's 844-94-NERVE and start to enjoy life again.
Are you interested in new career opportunities in the Bay Area and want to make a difference in your community? The SF Sheriff's Office is looking for people considering a job in law enforcement right now. If you're at least 20 years or older with a high school diploma or equivalent, the SF Sheriff's Office wants to hear from you. Enjoy full benefits, flexible schedules, and opportunities for growth and promotion. For employment announcements and more information, visit sfsheriff.com. That's sfsheriff.com to apply today.
Okay, smile naturally. Perfect.
Cam's Photography knows wedding season ramps up in a flash. They need to say I do to a studio assistant before clients go full bridezilla.
I'm so sorry. I have to get a different lens. I'll be right back.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
For all contest rules, go to 957thegame.com/rules.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
The award-winning documentary Beyond Homeless, Finding Hope offers real hope for transforming homelessness in San Francisco. Watch at beyondhomeless.org.
Warriors up 3. Fox will throw it at the far hash mark. Monk sprints to the corner. Herder comes out by the sideline, shoots over Thompson, blocked. Herder thought he got fouled. He's screaming at Pat Frayer. So is Sabonis. The Kings don't get the call. The Warriors exhale here at Chase Center. They get a win.
Now back to Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game.
Klay Thompson get away with one? Or nah? 888-957-9570. Talking to some people on the Sacramento side of things. I think they're pretty frustrated. They thought that Kevin Huerter did get fouled by Klay Thompson. Look to me on the final play, and a no call it is. Warriors beat the Kings tonight 116-113. We'll hear from Steve Kerr coming up here in just a couple of minutes. 888-957-9570. Phone number to give me a call or shoot me a text. Also, a little bit of context on just how great Stephen Curry's night was. 47 points in this one to go with 8 assists and 8 rebounds. We will have that coming up momentarily. But on the final shot, or Kevin Huerter, and yeah, a lot of people on the Sacramento side, I was kind of going through their Twitter and talking to a few of the reporters that cover the Kings. And yeah, there's a belief that, and Mike Brown came out after the ball game as well and said that he thought it was a foul. And I'll just read this quote from Mike Brown. "I feel bad for our guys. It's tough being a Sacramento King. I think because Kevin got fouled. I asked the ref if it was a foul. He said no, it was clearly a foul." So Mike Brown walking out of Chase tonight as they'll head to the bus and back to Sacramento, taking the L. But looking at the replay right now, it looked like, it looked like the high five action going up, and I'm watching it in slow motion. It looked almost to me as if Klay Thompson was maybe trying to foul Huerter on the ground before the shot went up, which is something I know the Warriors don't typically do, and especially wouldn't do with 1.3 seconds there. But it looked like there was a lot of body from Klay Thompson. It is also, as producer of this fine program, Sterling Bennett, told me as we were talking during the break, it's also kind of like a Hail Mary type play. It looked like Klay put his left hand on Huerter almost to try and foul him, but you got to be careful there. But it was a heavy duty closeout, and Huerter kind of flailed into Klay a little bit. It looked like there might have been some contact there, but on a play that's kind of a Hail Mary type of a play, you don't typically see that called, especially so far away from the basket, unless it's egregious contact. I do think it'll be interesting to see what the 2-minute report has on that one, as the NBA releases the 2-minute report for all close games the following day. Do they say that this was indeed a missed call and should have been a foul on Klay Thompson that would have sent Kevin Huerter to the line to try and knock down 3 to send the game into overtime? I know the Kings, mentioned them a little bit. They're frustrated. Tyler Hero hit a 3 to beat them in Miami a couple of nights ago, as this ends a long road trip for Sacramento, and Hero traveled on the lead up to the 3, kind of stopped, leaned in, hit the 3, and the next day the NBA said, well, sorry, it was a travel. We didn't call it, but you still have to take the L. So I think some frustration, a little bit of it boiling over on the Sacramento side, thinking that they got robbed again. A lot of frustration on the Warriors side tonight. Not as much with the officials, although there was some frustration between Steph Curry and the officials as he drove and hit a little pull-up, leaned in, thought he got fouled, didn't get the call, picked up a tech, and Curry, I think, boiling over a little bit, the frustration, not necessarily just from the call, but even more so the frustration of just the disconnect right now between the Warriors' 2 units as far as the bench guys and the youth versus veteran, bench versus starter, however you want to dice it up. But the fact that the game was so ugly and disjointed and disconnected and just sloppy, ugly at times for the Warriors, who continue to turn it over, overpass, take bad shots, confusion on coverages defensively. They let the Kings really get a lot of wide open threes in the first half. I think Sacramento was 10 for 20, I believe, at halftime. They knocked down 10 threes in the first half, yet 10 for 22 in the first half. Warriors did get better in the second half, but you could sense the frustration, I think, boiling over a little bit from Steph. He picked up the tech. You don't typically see him that angry, but he was able to channel it in a positive manner to the tune of 47 points, 30 through three quarters, the 17 in the fourth quarter, and just an incredible, legendary, historic type performance from Steph. Get on my back, guys. I'm bringing you home. We're not losing tonight. This thing's going to be 4-7, and now it's on to try and regroup. From Elias, let's, in the context of Steph, before we get back to the phones, since the start of the 77-78 season, so we're going back 45 years, which is when turnovers were first tracked as a statistic, no player entering tonight had a game of 47 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and no turnovers. Steph Curry, the first player to have that many points, boards, and assists, and no turnovers. So just a historic, legendary performance. And that note from Elias via Warriors PR, it goes to show you right there just how terrific Steph was tonight. A little bit of context there. Ricky is next at 888-957-9570. What's going on, Ricky?
What's going on, John? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. I'm trying to make some sense of this game tonight because it was all Steph. It was wild. It kind of reminded me a little bit of some of the bleep show games the Warriors and Kings had a couple of years back. I think before the pandemic, it seemed like every year, every game was kind of like tonight.
Yeah, very sloppy game, man. I mean, just fortunate the Warriors were playing the Kings, right? So can't really get away with that kind of, playing if you're trying to be one of the best teams in the league, or if you're playing against let's say a Cavaliers team that's coming on Friday. You gotta clean it up, man. A lot of turnovers, man. With Clay, really quick on Clay, man. I felt bad for Clay. He looked like he was struggling out there in defense, man. They were attacking him, man. He couldn't even stay with Monk, Fox. They were just going at Clay, man. And he looked slow, and I get it, the injuries, what it is. But yeah, man, that was just kind of sad to see Clay just look really horrible on defense, man. And defense was one of his, strengths. On the game itself, John, Curry was awesome. He was nasty tonight, man. What was it, 48 points, something like that, man? Classic game, like you said, man. Just, I hope they clean it up, and, I hope they just stick with a short rotation. I think it's better if they do. I think, like you said a little earlier, if they keep playing with, mixing it up with the young kids, I don't think it's a recipe for winning. I think that's just a recipe for losing, because you're trying to, basically work a rotation in there, or force a rotation in there, and that it's not going to work. The kids are not ready. But anyway, man, great game. Let's go Warriors. Thank you, John.
Yeah, the problem is, and thanks for the call, Ricky. The problem for the Warriors is the template that they use tonight. You can't use over an 82-game season. Like, you can do it tonight because they rested guys in New Orleans and because they don't play again until Friday. But you can't play the veterans and the starters like it's a playoff series night in, night out, just to beat a bad team to get yourself enough wins to qualify. Like, that's the conundrum. They have to get more out of the bench and the young players and find the combinations. And the problem is nothing's working right now. Like, Steve Kerr went with the coaching staff and went to the drawing board and said, hey, Kuminga's going to play some 4, and JaMychal Green's going to take a seat, and Wiseman's not going to play at all. And you're going to give a look to Anthony Lamb, who played pretty well in New Orleans, two-way guy. What does he have? And none of it works. Like, and you're committed to maybe giving some of these players a few games to try and get their bearings under them. And it's not only none of it works. The 510 and the Xfinity mobile text line, I thought, said it even better than I did in the first segment. It said, JD, you said the bench is not matching the starters. But what is worse than that, the Warriors bench is not keeping up with the bench of a bottom-tier team. And that's what happened tonight. That's what happened in Orlando. That's what happened in Detroit when the Warriors were taking on the Pistons. going back on the road trip. Charlotte was not playing great basketball. Hell, they had just lost to Orlando the night before the Hornets beat the Warriors at the beginning of that long Eastern trip. It's not so much, you don't expect your bench, especially a youthful one, to be keeping up with the starters at that level, but they're getting just crushed on a night-in, night-out basis, and it's different combinations of bench. It's different combinations of bench mixed in with some of the starters. It's just as soon as a starter goes out or two starters go out, the whole game is flipping right now. And, if the Warriors had been playing a better team tonight, they wouldn't have won anyway. But at the same time, what they're doing right now, I think Steve Kerr said it in the post-game press conference, it's not sustainable. It's just not sustainable moving forward here to chase games like that every single night over an 82-game campaign. You're going to wear guys out, and there's going to be nothing left for the playoffs, assuming you even can win enough to get to the playoffs. So 888-957-9570. RJ in San Francisco on 95.7 The Game. Hey, RJ. Oh, RJ, give us a call back. We'll get you right to the front of the line at 888-957-9570. All right, let's go ahead and hear from the head coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, as he addressed the media following this one. It was a wild ride tonight, but the Warriors were able to beat the Kings 116-113. Here's the head coach.
Was this kind of the rotations you were planning?
First half was basically the way we had planned. And then at halftime, we decided to start Jordan for Loon just to throw a changeup out there. We were we were not right in that first half. After the good start, we just lost our juice, and so second half it was more just kind of figure it out. But we wanted to start Jordan, see if we could get him going a little bit and spread the floor. I really liked our energy in the second half. We held them to, I think, 4 of 18 from 3 in the second half, as opposed to maybe 10 for 22 first half. And it just felt like we were making our presence felt just with the energy and flying around. So second half, we did enough to get it done. But it was at that point we were kind of flying by the seat of our pants.
I assume you don't love the burden on Steph necessarily.
Sorry?
I assume you don't love the burden on Steph necessarily tonight. I mean, do you feel generally good coming out of this win, or I'm sure it's kind of relieving.
Feel great. We needed the win. Steph had the New Orleans game off. So did Wiggs. So did Clay. So did Draymond. And we've got 3 days before our next game. So we felt comfortable chasing this one with heavy minutes, and it was obviously necessary. And but it's not sustainable. So we know we can't do this for long.
Steve, how would you describe the fourth quarter where you outscored them by 12 and Steph had 17?
I would just say that Steph was just breathtaking. He's obviously one of the greatest players of all time, and he plays so well on so many nights. But this even seemed like something special for him. 17 for 24, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, no turnovers, hitting every big shot. He just put us on his back, and the other guys played with great energy, and I thought the starting group did everything necessary to win the game. Wiggs with a couple big threes, Clay's defense, Draymond and Loon, they were all fantastic, but that was just Steph Curry deciding we were going to win.
Entering tonight, you talked a lot about how Jonathan Kuminga was going to earn minutes, was going to be part of the rotation, didn't play in the second half, though. Moving forward, is he still in the rotation, or is it back to the drawing board, making more adjustments?
No. Yeah, as JK will be out there next game. So as I said, at halftime, the way the game was going, we decided to change the rotation up, but he'll be back out there.
For a quick one, were you intending to foul there up 1.3, or was there no foul?
No, because based on 1.3, it pretty much had to be a catch and shoot. So we were just playing on the outside of the 3-point line. We told our guys, just if they want to get anything towards the rim, let them have anything, inside the 3-point line. Just guard the line, and it's just too dangerous to foul in that situation, because whoever catches it, it's going to be going up with a shot. And as we found out last year, it seems kind of random whether people in that situation get continuation or not. We were on the wrong end of one of those last year when LeBron, we fouled LeBron before the shot, but they gave him the free throws. And I didn't have a challenge left. We didn't have a timeout left either. So it was just, challenge as best we can. And Clay got a good challenge.
And it's 11 games now on the bench. The minuses are piling up. It's an accumulation here. I know it's still early. I know you're happy because of the win, but how big a problem is this becoming? And another big minus for Poole, another big minus for almost everybody on the bench, except for Moody. Is this becoming a major issue in your mind?
Well, it's an early season issue. And, we got 71 games left. So, it's something we, are going to address, we'll continue to address, and I have a lot of confidence in our guys. JP's in a little bit of a funk right now, but we know what he can do. He's so important to our bench unit, and I'm very confident that he'll get it going, and that we'll find the right combinations and patterns to help those guys get going.
Could that potentially include him starting? I mean, did you like what you saw, with him starting the second half? You've seen.
I haven't even given that any thought. Just got off the floor, so just happy that we won.
But that was kind of Poole related to try to jolt him a little bit to life.
Yeah. Starting him in the second half was not only to get him going, but to change the flow of the game. And you could see right away we were the aggressor in the third quarter. So I liked what I saw out there, and we even though we were a little sloppy and took some tough shots, I thought the energy was right.
A lot of Lamb tonight in the second half over Kuminga and others. I guess just why'd you want to go with Lamb tonight?
He's got a lot of experience. A guy we trust. We think he's a really good player, and it felt like the game called for him.
Not to harp too much on Jordan Poole, but what are you hoping to see from him to unlock sort of his scoring?
Just regaining his rhythm and confidence, and this happens, especially with young players. Such a long season, you go through some funks, and I have no doubt JP will get out of it. I mean, we'll do everything we can to help him, but he's a really talented young guy, and we know what he's capable of.
You had Wiseman and JaMychal Green out of the rotation. Are they on the borderline? Is JaMychal Green somebody you do intend to play some more? What's their status right now?
Again, it's so early in the season. We have so many games ahead of us. Those guys are both going to find their way back into the rotation at some point. But for now, the way we played in the first half was the way we decided to go. Play a little smaller, a little more mobile, and kind of alternating Draymond and Loon at the center spot. That could change. Everything could change, in one game. So we'll keep going. We'll see where it takes us.
Hey, Steven, I know it's earlier in the season, but did this game feel like it carried extra weight just given the funk that you guys were in on that road trip?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a strange feeling to, for this early in the season for the arena to be so tense. But, when you lose 5 in a row on a road trip, there is a sense of desperation, and I think everybody can see we're trying to find our way out of the woods right now. And so, there was a greater sense of intensity in that game than there normally would be, this early in the year.
Were you able to sense what went wrong during that stretch late first quarter, early second quarter when they outscored you guys by 23 points over about 9 minutes?
Yeah, we let our guard down at the 3-point line defensively. We had a really good defensive quarter going. We weren't fouling. And then, we let them get loose for a few threes late in that quarter, and that gave them a lot of confidence. And for them to walk away after the first quarter up 2, after we had really dominated most of the action, I think gave them a lot of hope, a lot of confidence, and it took our momentum away.
All right, so Steve Kerr there reacting to a number of different topics, the greatness of Steph Curry and his 47-point, 8-rebound, 8-assist night. Get on his back, and he carried the Warriors home to this win, 116-113. Talking about trying to get Jordan Poole going, starting Poole in the second half to get the flow of the game. Again, I said it earlier, I think it also made it easier for Steve Kerr to play fewer players in the second half. You take Looney, who's one of your trustable players, you move him to the bench, you put Poole out there with the starters, you try and get the game going a little bit faster, and it worked. The Warriors quickly cut the lead that Sacramento had from 12 down to 1, but by the end of the quarter, they were still down 9 going to the fourth, so they almost kind of like the first quarter where the Warriors got off to a good start, but then the subs start coming in and the lead goes bye-bye, and they wind up in a position where they had to climb up the mountain one more time to try and get Sacramento. They were able to do it finally in that fourth quarter. Wiggins with some key hoops in that quarter, but just Curry repeatedly, every big shot that he needed to hit, he hit. And three-pointers, drives, pull-ups. I mean, it was just spectacular, the Steph Curry show in this one as the Warriors find themselves earning the victory here. What else can the Warriors do to try and change it up? Well, you can't keep changing it up every single game, although I do think part of the conversation these next couple of days is going to be, and I think it would, you can't blame James Wiseman for the bench struggles tonight. And I know he was drawing the ire of the fan base, I think, to a certain extent. Maybe a little bit unfairly in the last, let's say, 4 or 5 games leading up to tonight. I thought he played okay the first 4 or 5 games. The Warriors were, off to a 3-1 start before hitting the road, but on that road trip, he really did struggle. And then JaMychal Green, I think the Warriors are going to bench him for the time being and try to use him more potentially as a center as opposed to a power forward, and it frees up time for Kuminga. But Kuminga just, I felt almost at times tonight like the Warriors were trying to get the ball to Kuminga in an attempt to let him, feel good about being out on the floor, get him some touches, try and let him attack and score, feel good, and almost as if that would get him to engage in other ways, get him to fly around and try and defend and rebound and try and make some plays in other ways. And it just I thought took the Warriors completely out of what they were trying to do. It was almost a 2012 2013. Hey, Mark Jackson. Hey, let's put the guy out in the short post and throw it to him and let him just go to work and try and bulldoze his way. And he did attack the rim and have a tremendous dunk as well. He cast off on a couple of 3-pointers that were, I thought, tough looks and maybe even bad shots. But the margin for error right now with the Warriors and the young players. And I think the other part, too, as you look at the dichotomy between the two, is I think the young players kind of know right now that they're not helping. And that's hurting confidence and mojo and vibe. And I think the starters know that the young players right now aren't clicking with them, and that's hurting the vibe and the confidence and everything that has been so paramount, so critical to the Warriors' success over the years. It almost in a way feels like two different teams. You've got the veteran team that knows the ceiling and what they're capable of. You've got the young team that almost has to function like they did in the game against the Pelicans, where they can just get out there and get theirs and play free and not have any problems. And the two just are not gelling. And it's almost as if Jordan Poole is the one guy trying to connect both, and he can't even do it at this point because he's not playing well either, especially when he's out there with the young guys. And there's just a lot of work to be done, and the Warriors find themselves up against it now in a big way because they are not winning enough. And that's where just getting one tonight, we don't have time to play Steph Curry's post-game press conference, but Steph maybe with the quote of the night as far as just getting a win here in this one. As Steph said, quote, "I've never been more happy about a win in Game 11 of the regular season." And I think that tells you all you need to know about, better than the alternative. Wasn't great. Appreciate Steph for all of his greatness, and it's better than the alternative because could you imagine the Warriors sitting at 3-8 right now with 3 days off and Cleveland coming in and the schedule about to ramp up and playing Sacramento again here in a couple of days in Sac, and then going back to Phoenix and hitting the road for a stretch after that. The Warriors, every win you don't get to dip further below 500 is 2 wins you have to get back to 500. And so just to stop the bleeding for a couple of days and be able to learn and grow off of a victory, I think is huge. So we'll call it a night on that note as the Warriors get the win 116-113. A couple of days off for the Warriors. No game until Friday. And I'll be back here from Chase with Warriors Live before that one, 6 o'clock here on 95.7 The Game. The Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers, as the Dubs now going to be in the midst of a stretch where just 2 games over what will be 12 days when you go back to having the weekend off, and then the 2 games that they're going to play these next couple of nights with the time off in between. 2 games in 8 days, rather, for the Warriors on the calendar as they will take on the Cavs on Friday. So that'll do it. Back with you on Friday. Make sure you keep it locked here on 95.7 The Game. Thanks to Sterling Bennett. Thanks to everybody in our San Francisco studios. Keep it locked right here on 95.7 The Game. We'll talk to you from Chase on Friday. Warriors, sigh of relief as they beat the Kings tonight, somehow, some way, 116-113. You heard it right here on 95.7 The Game. Good night.
The award-winning documentary Beyond Homeless, Finding Hope offers real hope for transforming homelessness in San Francisco. Watch at beyondhomeless.org.
Tune in to 95.7 The Game for Warriors Live, 60 minutes before tip-off of every Warriors game. Brought to you by Xfinity. Supercharge your home with supersonic Wi-Fi. Unbeatable internet only from Xfinity.